Did you know that 90% of all invoices are still processed manually? My name is Eamon, and this is my colleague Steve. We're from Crowdz. Crowdz is an innovative FinTech that's tackling the future of business payments and invoices through our platform that lets businesses basically transact on the platform and basically that they can get funding. Now, Steve is going to walk through a demonstration of the platform and show you 3 different user profiles. They're a seller, a buyer, and a funder.
Great, thanks, Eamon. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through the seller, a manufacturer of components for the networking space, sell their invoice and get paid early. So here I am in the seller's dashboard. There's a number of things that the seller can do, move money into their account, send invoices to their end customer. So I'm going to do that. You can upload invoices by keying them in or by actually choosing companies that you've done business with. Just for interest of time, I've already uploaded an invoice, and it's to LAN Networking Company for $25,000. So I'm going to submit that invoice, which has been done successfully. And now I'm going to move over to the buyer's dashboard. The dashboard looks very similar. They can move money into their wallet. They can also pay invoices. So at this point, I'm going to select Pay Invoices. And here you see that the invoice that we just created and sent over from Tech Components is showing up here up top. So the only action the buyer has at this point is to approve the invoice. So they do that. They have 30 days to pay this invoice, so there's no action needed at this point. So back to the seller. Let's say, for example, the seller does not want to wait the 30-day term. So they have the ability to sell their invoice. So here is the invoice that we had created and sent to the buyer. They post the invoice for sale through a public auction. And they can put in here when they want that close date for the auction. So let's say they want to do this by next Thursday. And also within this, it preloads a interest or a deduction, a discount. And you can change that to whatever you like. And here I've got a 10% discount. So that's the max discount that anyone in the auction can offer. So I post that for sale, and the seller is done at this point. So now we're going to change to the funder number 1. And in their dashboard, they're able to look at the available invoices in the auction sale. And here we see our $25,000 invoice. They have the ability to bid. And let's say, for example, they put in 12%. If they try to do that, the system's going to come back and say, no, that exceeds the maximum discount. So they go back in and change that to 10%, and they're able to actually put in that bid. Back to the seller, we can then refresh the screen, and we see they have a new bid. So they can look at that bid and see that it was for 10%, but they want to wait and see if there's any other bids coming in. So we go to funder number 2. They do the same process. They look at what's available for sale in the auction. They can view the bids. They see there's one in for 10%. They've been doing business with this company, so they decide to actually put in a bid for 8%. So they put their bid through, and now when we come back to the seller and refresh our screen, we'll see that we have a number of bids. Again, they look at the bids that are in, and they decide that 8% is much better, so they'll accept that bid. So at this point, the seller is happy. They have the bid approved. Now, if we go back to that funder, we're ready to fund that bid. So they fund the invoice. They select their account. They fund it through our Crowdz to Crowdz transfer, approve, and that's all done. And if we go to the seller, we can see that in their account, we're going to see that money moved of $23,000. So on the buyer side, there's only one more step left. 30 days has passed. The buyer then pays the invoice. Sorry. Here's the invoice. They pay that invoice from their account. All right, that payment is done, and now we come back to the seller and we refresh our activity, and then we'll see 2 different actions. One is the $25,000 that came into their account, but it did not stay. It immediately went out to the funder, SEC Capital, and that's who eventually got paid. And that's how it works.
Thanks, Steve. Just to sum up, so the Crowdz Invoice Exchange is basically an opportunity for banks and asset managers to tap into the invoice market. Two, small to medium-sized enterprises can now access liquidity and working capital. And three, through our white label solution, there's an opportunity to target existing merchant vendors. So please stop by our booth outside. We can do a longer demo for you. And just to let you know that we'll actually be raffling an Apple Watch later on this afternoon. So please stop by. Thank you.
Thank you.